New details tonight in the Occupational Safety and Health Administration investigation of the accidental death at the Archer Daniels Midland plant in Lincoln. Good evening, I'm John Vanderford.
And I'm Cerise Cole. 51-year-old Robert Fitch died January 29th after falling more than 30 feet while working at ADM Milling. In tonight's top story, 11's Keller Russell has details of the investigation and what penalties the flour milling company faces.
Well, according to an agreement between OSHA and ADM, the milling company will be required to put in a new elevator system within the next year, in addition to other fees. The lives of all who knew 51-year-old Robert Fitch changed forever January 29th, when Fitch died after falling from a man lift similar to this at Archer Daniels Midland Company in Lincoln. Now, the company is in the process of making sure a similar accident doesn't happen again following an investigation by OSHA.
It's going to take them some time.
OSHA team leader Bernard Hauber says OSHA's investigation found ADM failed to protect employees ascending on the lift by providing bevel guards or a cone on each floor of the man lift. According to the citation, investigators also found the man lifts were being operated without being properly repaired. However, Hauber says OSHA's regulation standards apply only to man lifts built after 1971.
That meant there were a number of things that we could not issue citations for relative to that man lift because it was older than that.
OSHA considers the violation serious, but Hauber says the investigation showed Fitch was climbing down the lift, meaning the lack of bevel guards didn't directly affect Robert's accident.
We know he was on the man lift, but other than that, he was on the man lift and fell off. I don't know, there's nothing else we could determine from that.
As the investigation moves into a settlement, an ADM spokesperson said in a written statement, the company is, quote, working to identify an effective alternative to the man lift at which the incident occurred, end quote, pursuant to an agreement with OSHA. As part of the negotiation, OSHA has dropped the citation and 2 penalties, but
the fact that the company is replacing this device, which in itself has so many inherent dangers, has increased the safety of all the workers at that site.
While OSHA did withdraw 2 items in the citation, ADM will still face a $2,500 penalty on a violation regarding industrial truck training for employees that was not related, in addition to the new elevator that they'll be putting in. To look at the complete final settlement yourself, log on to our web channel and click on the OSHA investigation story after the show.
At 10. We're going to get man lifts out of here, or at least stronger regulations in honor of my uncle.
A Lincoln man fell to his death while on the job earlier this year. Now family members are calling for increased safety standards to prevent similar accidents. Good evening, I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm John Vanderford. On January 29th, 51-year-old Robert Fitch died after falling off a man lift at the Archer Daniels Midland plant in Lincoln. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration has since fined ADM $2,500.
And as 11's Jason Valentine reports in tonight's top story, Fitch's family wants to make sure accidents like this don't happen again.
John, Cerise, man lifts are a fairly common way for companies to move workers from one floor to the next without installing an elevator. But some lifts don't have to comply with all OSHA standards due to grandfather clauses. Robert Fitch's niece says it's time for policymakers and companies to realize the dangers of man lifts and make sure her uncle's death was not in vain.
His biggest pride, of course, was his children.
Being a man who considered family his life, Robert Fitch's death has been especially hard to deal with.
Knowing that he's not here to see his children graduate from college, get married, buy their first home, everything like that.
Fitch's niece, Tanya Ford, says all the pain could have been avoided if the man lift Fitch fell from at the Lincoln ADM plant in January was safer. Due to the nature of this story, we couldn't actually convince a company to show us a man lift, but essentially it's a tall column with a belt running continually up one side and down the other. A worker simply steps onto a footrest, grabs a hold of the handhold, and then rides up or down to the desired floor and steps off. The problem is, if you let go of the handrest, there's generally nothing to stop a fall to the nearest floor, in Fitch's case, as far as 80 feet down.
And even putting a platform every 10 feet, so if they do fall off the man lift, they land on this platform, they may get a broken arm, a broken leg, but they still have their life.
OSHA fined ADM only $2,500.
Says nothing and is intended to say nothing about the worth of the person, worth of the victim.
The fine was lowered based on promises from ADM to improve safety for its workers.
That is what I personally want out of this, is to know that they go to work and they go home to their families.
But it's not just ADM. Ford and her family hope to improve. They want to make sure no one endures the same avoidable loss.
My personal goal is to remember my uncle and talk to the senator's office and see what kind of changes can we make.
According to OSHA's website, since 2000 there have been 4 workplace fatalities directly related to falling off man lifts. Ford says she has a June meeting planned with Malcolm Senator Ken Haar, and before that time would like to hear from any other families that have dealt with a man lift related accident. And her contact information is on our web channel. Just click on the hot button.
All right, 1011.